Now on SuTV News, after a major flood this summer, how Minot is slowly recovering. Rush Week begins for the fraternities and sororities on campus, and the Bison football team looks to start the season 2-0. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Brandon Clark. The Mouse River flooding this past summer devastated Minot and surrounding areas. 50-year-old memories were washed away. Families found themselves living in FEMA trailers. Yet, through all the damage and suffering, several organizations, including NDSU's own radio station, KDSU, came together to bring hope back to these communities. It was a scene from the Twilight Zone.
Everybody's gone. There's nothing left. It was really a strange feeling.
As the spring progressed, people in Minot found themselves on an emotional roller coaster, wondering when the water would come, and when it did, how much.
I don't think anybody understood the magnitude of what was coming at us.
Just before 1 o'clock on June 22nd, sirens forced 11,000 people to leave their homes, their belongings, their memories, everything behind. The Mouse River set a new record, cresting at over 1,500 feet, 3 feet above the record set 130 years ago. More than 4,100 homes were damaged, 805 of those under more than 10 feet of water beyond repair.
Some things are just clear. People are in trouble. They need help. It's just, there's not a debate about it.
Minot Area Community Foundation members saw this need. They helped organize a telethon called Bring Back the Magic. Its goal? Raise at least $1 million and bring hope back to the Magic City. But what happened next shocked even the organizers.
We raised $2 million, which was a phenomenal amount of money for a telethon. We had announcers from Fargo and other parts of the state saying they were just amazed that a telethon could raise that amount of money.
Just over $6 million has been raised through donations, the telethon, and a Black Eyed Peas concert over the Labor Day weekend. And while there are many questions as to how the money will be spent, there is a clear goal.
Our focus for at least the first phase and the majority of the funds is going to get people back in their homes. People need a place to live. A FEMA trailer is not a home.
Through all the devastation, all the lost memories, all the time spent sifting through what was left of their homes, resilience lives on in the hearts and minds of those who lost everything. Once again, we would just like to thank Prairie Public for the flooding video and Valley News Live for the telethon footage. Turning now to some on-campus news, fall recruitment for NDSU's 3 sororities is underway. Girls attended an informal introductory meeting Tuesday. Sorority recruitment will be in full swing, with each house hosting different events throughout the weekend. 145 girls have registered. More are expected to attend. Panhellenic President Callie Doggett says, although she was unsure about joining, she's glad she did.
I know when I went through, I was kind of on edge, wasn't really sure, but some friends convinced me to go through, and I'm so glad that I did. And if I can create that in just a few different girls, or we can create that as a group of recruitment guides, I think that's just awesome.
Sorority recruitment wraps up Monday. Girls will receive their bids to their respective houses after that. And also happening this week, Fraternity Rush Week. Members of the 12 frat houses on campus are holding events all week. Many of the events include food, sports, activities, and other games. You're encouraged to check it out. Even if you're only a little curious about the Greek life, Recruitment Week will finish Friday when bids are given out to new members. Now coming up next, Joy Sather-Wagstaff, an assistant professor of anthropology, is here to talk about her continuing research with 9/11.
SuTV News is being brought to you by Stop and Go. Stop and Go. We're always there.
With MapBus being the easiest, greenest, and most efficient way to get around North Dakota State University, there are tons of reasons to MapBus.
I MapBus to get to class on time. I don't have to use my car, waste gas, or waste time finding a parking spot. I'm at Bus because their hybrid buses not only help our community and the state, but they're also helping our world.
I'm at Bus not only to get around campus, but to get around the Fargodome community. For
There are many reasons of Matt Bus. Come find yours.
Join the herd. Be Matt Bus strong.
Jimmy John's, America's favorite sandwich. Delivery guys.
Total is $472. How do you want to pay for that today?
I have a few different cards I want to put it on.
There is an easier way to do this. Book charging and rentals, only at the NDSU bookstore.
Welcome back to SuTV News. Last Sunday was the 10th anniversary of an event that changed our world forever. The September 11th terrorist attacks brought fear and yet patriotism to our country as we battled the new challenges. We went out on campus to find out what you remember most about 9/11.
Okay, I was in my 3rd grade classroom.
I was in Mumbai during that time, and everybody rushed to the TV room, and we started taking the news, and I think we were up whole night just watching it on a TV.
I was about 17. I was walking to high school because I was really late. I was listening to Howard Stern, and they talked about how a plane went into a tower or to the tower.
I was 9. I just remember being in class and like my teachers telling me, and then like turning the TVs on and watching.
Well, that's truly a moment people will never forget. Joining me now is Joy Sather-Wagstaff, an assistant professor of anthropology here at NDSU. Joy's been doing continual research about 9/11 on how visiting the former World Trade Center site affects social conscience, change, and justice. Joy, thanks for being here with us. First of all, can you just tell us a little bit about your continuing research with the former World Trade Center site?
Well, I study the anthropology of tourism, and particularly tourism to, shall we say, places that aren't quite happy. Genocide museums, terrorist attack sites, and particularly the memorials that emerge from those. And I've been doing work at the World Trade Center site, the former site of the Twin Towers, since 2002. So I'm in a fairly long-term project that will not end until the memorial is actually fully complete, which is not complete yet, and the Memorial Museum has opened and been in operation for a while.
So now tourists have actually visited the site more than when the World Trade Centers were actually up?
Astoundingly so. The numbers showed a slight drop in 2002, but since then, more people have visited every year than when the actual towers used to be there.
I see. Wow. So what would you say the biggest challenges you face with doing a research project like this?
Well, there is an issue of security. It's a very high security area, and as with last weekend when I was there were streets closed down, lots of police presence, lots of cars being stopped, and it's not unusual to actually be in New York City and have the subway stop and reroute somewhere while you're doing research. So.
Now, what about working with the tourists? Is that ever a challenge, or are there benefits to working with them?
I have actually found them to be quite remarkable in the sense that normally if you're on a pleasure vacation, you don't really want to spend much time talking to an anthropologist. But because of the power that these events, including 9/11, have, people are very, very willing to share their thoughts, their experiences, and their feelings with me.
What are some of the things that you hear from these people?
Sometimes I find folks that, well, they recount the story of where they were. Of course, we all remember that flashbulb moment. But for a lot of them, too, events like this are very life-transforming. You find people making incredible changes in their own lifestyles because suddenly they're faced with mortality. You find some people become more pro-war, or some anti-war, some become peace activists. There's a lot of individual and social transformation that comes out of events like this, as well as going to the places where you can commemorate the victims of those events.
Yeah, everybody, I have my own personal experiences and everything with 9/11. Now, you actually had the privilege of being in New York over 9/11 on the 10th anniversary. What can you tell me about that? What was that scene like?
I actually expected it to be quite spectacular, but unfortunately with the mayor pretty much shutting down the city in terms of traffic around the site, it was quite limited to a very small area, mostly around St. Paul's Chapel and the Fire Department of New York Memorial, because people had to kind of keep moving. They couldn't stop and do some of the activities that I've seen them do every year before.
Well, what would you say is next then as far as your research goes? I'm guessing being in New York has helped you expand your research a little more.
Well, I do look at this comparatively. So over the time that I've been working in New York, I've also been working in Oklahoma City. I now also have a project with the Holocaust Museum that I've been doing since 2009 on a wonderful exhibit that connects the genocide of the Holocaust with contemporary genocide and looking at the social effects of people visiting and experiencing that exhibit.
So there's kind of a lot working all together.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with your research, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, when we return, a tour of the bookstore, what you can expect when you're shopping for books and your Bison gear. Thank you.
I'm at bus to get to class on time. I don't have to use my car, waste gas, or waste time finding a parking spot. I'm at bus because their hybrid buses not only help our community and our state, but they're also helping our world.
I'm at bus not only to get around campus, but to get around the Fargodome. For 25 different routes get me anywhere I need to be.
There are many reasons of Matt Bus. Come find yours.
Join the herd. Be Matt Bus strong.
Jimmy John's, America's favorite sandwich. Delivery guys.
Welcome back to SuTV News. Anyone interested in learning more about the NDSU bookstore now has the opportunity. The bookstore has begun offering tours to students, faculty, and staff. These tours bring people to each department of the bookstore, explaining more about what each does or contains. Things seen on the tour not known to most people include the large shipping area and receiving area, the new bookmaking machine, and the technology repair department. The bookstore is the largest provider of used textbooks in the state of North Dakota. Anyone interested can call Dolly Waldholm at 231-5671. And NDSU's best engineering students are at it again. The College of Engineering and Architecture launches the Bison Best Robotics Competition. The 6-week competition begins Saturday and concludes October 29th at the Fargo Civic Auditorium. This is the 5th year NDSU is hosting the Best Robotics. A total of 29 schools are competing this year. Certainly kind of an interesting competition. I actually had the chance to do a story on some of the younger kids who were competing in a competition.
Yeah, it looks very fun. We have a few people in the studio that have competed before, and they said they really enjoyed it and are excited to go watch.
They're pretty amazing things, robots are.
Yes, some other exciting things going on in sports. We have the Bison football team at it again. This and more when we come back with SuTV Sports.
SuTV Sports is being brought to you by Shields. Ready for your next big adventure? Welcome to Shields.
Total is $472. How do you want to pay for that today?
I have a few different cards I want to put it on.
There is an easier way to do this. Book charging and rentals, only at the NDSU bookstore.
Jimmy John's, America's favorite sandwich. Delivery guys.
The Bison are up against Illinois State at homecoming this Saturday, October 1st at 1 p.m. Sponsored by Subway. For tickets, call 231-NDSU.
After a crushing 42-6 victory in Week 1, the Bison football team was looking to continue their success against the Red Flash of St. Francis. With starting running back DJ McNorton out, the Bison were looking for a big game from plenty of others. Now we will head to the Fargodome, where the Red Flash will take their second drive inside the Bison 10. The first one ended with a fumble, and the second one ends with a John Pike pick at the 1. The Bison will take over on offense. Second play of that drive, Sam O'Jury breaks through untouched, and he could go 95 yards for a school record-setting touchdown. The Bison take a 7-0 lead. O'Jury has 99 yards on that drive. Early in the second, Cooper Wallow breaks through, blocks the punt, picks it up, and returns it to the house. The Bison take a 14-0 lead. With 18 seconds left in the half, Warren Holloway catches a 22-yard TD. The Bison score within 20 seconds of the half for the second time in as many weeks. We go to the third quarter now, where the quarterback scrambles. He wants to dump the ball. Carlton Littlejohn is all over it. He gets the pick at the 37, and he takes it back for 6. The Bison take a 49-0 lead and go on to win 56-3. O'Jury has 12 carries for 165 yards and a touchdown. The 2-0 Bison will next take on the 0-2 Minnesota Golden Gophers at TCF Bank Stadium on September 24th. We now head to
Missouri Valley and how much time and stock you put into playing a game that's a guarantee game, comes into play. But it's an important ball game for us. A lot of our players are from the state of Minnesota, and that is an important game to them as well.
Where the Iowa State Cyclones visit the NDSU Bison at the Benson Bunker Fieldhouse. Down by 1 early, Carissa Whalen elevates and stuffs the attack to tie the score at 2. Later in the set, tied at 26, the set from Jennifer Lopez meets Lauren Kamek in the air, and she drills it into the corner for one of her 14 kills. The Bison claim the first set 28-26. Tied at 24 in the second, Carly Jensen her kill gets through the Bison defense and propels them to take the set 27-25. The Bison will push it to a 5th set, but Hannah Wilms puts the game away. The Cyclones take the 5th set 15-12 and win the match 3-2. Now to the Cobber Open, where we will go to the Wildflower Golf Course in Detroit Lakes. Her first career college tournament for freshman Sarah Strand. She gets a par on the 5th hole. The only one to beat her in that tournament was junior Amy Anderson. Anderson knocks down a birdie on the 5th hole, and on the par 4 7th, Anderson puts out the putt. Come on, ball. And she just misses that birdie, but would tap it in for par, and she finishes with an even par of 72 on the day.
I think that this year we have probably the best team we've ever had in our history of our golf program. And so it's really exciting for all of us, for Coach, and we're definitely looking to good things this year.
After spending 15 of the last 25 days on the road, the Bison women's soccer team is finally home, but there is no time for a break. They will play their next 6 games at home, including non-conference matchups with Montana and UND. The team also opens conference play at home against Southern Utah and Oral Roberts. 16 letter winners from last year's NCAA tournament team return to the Bison, who were picked to finish 2nd in the Summit League preseason poll.
I think a lot of it is us growing as a team. You know, we have a lot of freshmen and we have a lot of returners, and it's just getting all of us to mesh, and I think you kind of have to go through a couple of those tough losses to really experience and enjoy the wins.
Well, for us, just getting used to our confines again. You know, it shouldn't be too hard. We got a veteran group, you know, but just getting used to being back on our own field and, you know, making sure we defend our turf.
The Bison currently sit at 4-2 after finishing the Montana tournament with a record of 1-1.
Well, I mean, you can say it as a general comment that the Bison are going to be good this year, but they really are. All the sports teams are looking great.
Definitely. Golf, soccer, volleyball, football, they're all looking spectacular this season.
And we're going to have one more look at the Bison-Gopher matchup when we return.
How do you want to pay for that today?
I have a few different cards I want to put it on.
There is an easier way to do this. Book charging and rentals, only at the NDSU bookstore.
Jimmy John's, America's favorite sandwich. Delivery guys.
You can
Bison football looking very, very good this year.
You know, last week's game was just unbelievable. 56 points. I do appreciate the dollars off of the pizza that we had on Monday.
Definitely. The Bison at home have outscored their opponents 98-9 already this season.
I mean, blocking field goals, it was kind of cool that in the crowd we were all chanting block the field goal or block the punt, and ended up getting blocked, so that was cool.
The defense is looking just as good as it did last year, and the offense has kicked it up a notch, even with DJ McNorton out for a game.
And you got to talk about the fan enthusiasm, really. There's so much school spirit this year. It's unbelievable.
Definitely. Now, coming up in a couple weeks, they do have almost a rival matchup with the Minnesota State Golden Gophers, since there are so many students here that are from Minnesota. It looks to be a very exciting game.
They're 0-2 though, so we're 2-0, 0-2. It's looking good to be in our favor. We've definitely got the stats against them, I would say.
Definitely. This is the 10th time the two teams have met, and the Bison are 1-8 against them. But the last time they met, they did beat them 27-21, and Tyler Roll set a record for the Bison for rushing yards in a game.
It was really kind of a lose-lose situation for Minnesota, though, because they're expected to lose, and then when they lose, it's just nothing good came from that for Minnesota. Everything was in NDSU's favor.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and don't forget to tune in next week to SuTV News for more news. Pick up your copy of The Spectrum.